Hello again, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin, and in today's video I'm going to be setting up for October 2018 in my bullet journal. But before we get into that, I figured we'd just have a quick flip through of September and see how that one turned out. So as you'll remember from my last monthly plan with me, for September I was going with a rainbow theme. So we had my splash page, my monthly log, what I was calling my day tracker, which is a combination of my mood, steps, habits, and spending. For this one, each of the different things I was tracking was rated on a scale, in which pink was the worst and purple was the best. Because the key for this one's a little bit complicated, I've kept it on this piece of paper that I've just washi taped into my journal. After this one we have my social media calendar, my meal log, my doodles and notes page. I didn't actually end up releasing a doodle challenge this month, so I've just gone in and started filling this one out with some different patterns. And then after this we were straight on into my weekly spreads. To finish off the month, I also have my month in review page, and then my regular planning page for the next month. For October, I really couldn't pass up the chance to do a Halloween theme, so that's what I'm going to be going for. The colours that I've selected to use are this nice cherry red, 847, a dark grey, which is N45, the purple 676, the bright orange 925, and then this nice chocolatey brown 899. Before we jump into it, just a reminder that any of the equipment I use in today's setup will be linked in the description box below. As per usual, I'm starting with my monthly log, so I'm going in with my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in the F size to draw out the borders for each of my boxes. Each box is 6 squares by 6 squares, with 1 square in between each of them. The majority of October is going to be during the school holidays, so theoretically I won't have a lot of events to record. I found previously that this calendar layout works really well for those kind of months. My intention at this stage is to fill any of the remaining space in these boxes, after putting in my events, with some kind of doodles or diagrams. A fun challenge for me when drawing this one out is that one of the day boxes actually goes across both pages. This is something I typically try to avoid, but for this month I was up to the challenge. For the headings on each of my pages, I'm going with this kind of spooky inspired serif font. As you can see, beforehand I went in with a pencil just to sketch out what I wanted each of my letter forms to look like. I tried to make sure that I was quite randomly putting in each of the little spikes on the letters to make them look a little bit more unique. To add some colour to the page, I then went in with my Tombow gel brush markers to colour in the title and the headings for each day of the week. For my colour palette for this month, I've tried to stick to colours that still remind me of Halloween without being too fall themed. Here in New Zealand it's actually springtime, so having autumn inspired colours doesn't really seem to fit the season. After colouring out my headings, I've also used the same Tombow gel brush markers to put in the days of the month. The alternating colour pattern I've used here was heavily inspired by Kayla from Planning with Kay. With all of the numbers written out, I then went in with the S-size Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen to outline these. I feel like this did well to make the numbers stand out a little bit more. I used the same Pitt Artist Pen to write the days of the week at the top of the page. To add some more decoration, I'm using this spear-like inspired border across the edges of my page. I'll also be using this on the other pages in my monthly setup, just to tie them all together. I'm using my Tombows to add colour to this one as well, using those same colours that I have as part of my palette. The nice part about this style of border is that it's super simple to draw, but actually looks really visually effective. With my monthly log finished, it's time to move on to my habit tracker. I really loved using my tracker for September, so for October I wanted to do something similar. One thing that I didn't really like about September's tracker was that it didn't really lend itself very well to tracking discrete habits. By this I mean habits that you either did or didn't do, ones that can't really be graded on a scale. To remedy this, for October I'm actually making two separate trackers. The top one is similar to the one I had in September, with each of those habits being more of a scale kind of grading, and the ones down the bottom are more of a did or didn't do. I have the same spear-like motifs running through the numbers for the month, and I've used small stars to bullet point where each of my habits are going to go. To add more visual interest, I've also included a drop shadow for each of the boxes. I've again used my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens to do all of the black outlining on this page, and then of course at the end I'm going in with my Tombow gel brush markers to add in all the colour. I'm really excited to see how using this habit tracker goes. It's been quite a while since I've tracked so many habits, and even longer since I've had a habit tracker that spanned a double-page spread like this. At this stage I haven't 100%ly decided what my habits are going to be for October, so I've got them penciled in here, but I'm not putting them down in pen just yet. I'm also not quite decided on the key that I'm going to want to use for this, so I haven't drawn that one in either. With my habit tracker done, the next point of call was my social media scheduler. For this one I'm keeping the same layout as I've done previously, however just slightly changing the sizing to make sure that it still fits with my theme. I've again drawn out a drop shadow for each of the boxes, and I'm separating these boxes using those spear-like dividers. For each of my scheduled posts, I'm using a small star as a bullet point. Stars are something that I've always had a lot of difficulty in drawing, and this spread certainly gave me a lot of good practice. To finish off the spread, I then went in again with my Tombow gel brush markers, and once this was done it was onto my meal log. Similar to my meal log from September, for October I'm just really using a double page spread as a running list of the things I'm eating. I'm not too sure how I want to break these boxes up just yet, so for today all I've done is gone in and write down the numbers for each day of the month and drawn out two large boxes on each page where I can record each of my meals. I've again used those spear-like borders to add some decoration, and of course put in a drop shadow for each of those boxes. Up next we have my favourite layout from this monthly setup, my mood tracker. For October's mood tracker, I decided I wanted to be a little bit more creative and drew myself out a set of shelves containing different shaped potion bottles. You'll see here that only some of the potion bottles had already been drawn in using a pencil. That's because I didn't actually have enough time to quite finish it off before filming my Plan With Me video. So you will see here that a little bit later I do go in and sketch out in pencil all of the remaining bottles. I'm drawing out 31 different shaped bottles to represent the 31 days of the month for October. The way this one works is that each day of the month I'm going to come in and colour in the liquid portion for one of the doodles using a certain colour that corresponds to my mood for that day. I haven't quite decided on what colours will correspond to which mood just yet, but I know the colours are going to be the ones from my monthly colour palette. You'll see that for the doodles I have here, I've tried to change up the size and shape for each of the bottles to add more visual interest to the page. Figuring out so many types of shapes for these bottles would have been so much more difficult if it wasn't for a Google image search. If you're ever in need of inspiration for doodles, I would totally recommend that would be the first place you should look. For each of the shelves, I've used irregular lines and spirals to give it more of a wooden pattern. To finish off this spread, I just went back in with my Tombow dual brush marker to colour in the title for each page. Last but not least, we have my splash page for October. Initially, I was intending on doing some kind of moon-shaped pattern for this one. However, I didn't think it really matched with the rest of the spreads I'd done. Instead, I decided to go in with this simple star shape inside of a circle, which I first sketched out using a pencil. I then went over these lines with my Faber-Castell Pitt artist pen and coloured it in using my Tombow dual brush markers. To get a soft gradient of grey on the star, I used my N00 colourless blender to pick up some of the colour from my N45 grey Tombow and put this down on the page. Alrighty, and that's where we're going to leave it for today. So we have my October splash page, my monthly log, my habits tracker, my social media scheduler, my meal log, my mood tracker, and my notes page. Thank you for watching. If you had any thoughts, comments or feels, please do leave them in the comments section below. And if you liked today's video, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel to see the videos I release every Thursday and Sunday. And until next time, bye!